I have a question about conversion. So I'm going through the conservative route, and so depending on the rabbi, one rabbi was willing to do it, one wasn't because my wife, she's not going through the conversion process. And I actually asked the question a few weeks ago, like halakhically, is this a problem? And so the conservative rabbi that decided to do it, he says, it's if as long as you're living Torah at home, you're living a Jewish life at home, even if she doesn't want to convert and you want to, then you should. And so that's kind of what he advised me, and so I decided to go forward with it. But what exactly is the issue with it, especially from like an Orthodox perspective, like intermarriage, or because like
Right.
I didn't grow up Jewish, but I'm deciding to convert, and then she is married to me before I decided to convert. And then now she's willing to like have Shabbat in the house. Sometimes she reminds me, like I'll come home and I'm tired on Friday, and she'll be like, "Hey, are we gonna light the candles or what?" And so it's kind of nice,
Uh-huh.
but she's still not like at a place where she wants to convert, and she may never, which is fine with me. But what would be
All right.
the issues?
From a halachic perspective, there's a lot of issues with it. One, after you convert, you're no longer going to be the same person halachically. That means you are no longer going to be married to her. I mean, you're Jewish now in terms of after you convert. So every minute you're in the house with her, you're breaking a handful of laws. I mean, for one, like you're cohabiting with a woman who's not your wife. You're cohabiting with a Gentile woman, which I guess in a very sad way makes her liable for the death penalty. Now, there's no Sanhedrin nowadays. No one's going to execute these laws. But if there was a Sanhedrin, you for sure would be lashed. I'm just telling you what the halakha is. And she would probably be put to death.
Jeez,
Absolutely. I mean,
that,
there's halachot that I have a problem with,
it's kind of
right?
rough,
And
right?
it is kind of rough. However, she doesn't have to remain a Gentile. Now, even if she took it upon herself to convert herself to Judaism, at least from a rabbinic perspective, and the Talmud does mention people converting themselves alone without a Beit Din, and Rabbi Akiva there holds that even if that person broke Shabbat, he'd be liable to death penalty, which teaches that he recognizes this conversion done among the Gentiles, as it states in the Talmud. You can technically convert her to Judaism, and men have been doing this for hundreds of years. I mean, till for sure like the last 200 or 300 years. But when Jews would migrate into Gentile lands, how do you think Ashkenazi Jews became so white? And it's because the men that would migrate into Gentile lands and they would marry, or they would convert the Gentile women and marry them.
Right.
And this is why the Syrian community in Argentina outlawed conversions, because they wanted to stop this practice.
I mean, that's so you're just stating the halakha, like you're not
Right.
like you're not telling me like this is something that is like a good thing, like for somebody to be put to death for intermarriage. You're just stating the halakha.
I'm just stating the halakha. Only because something appears in halakha doesn't mean that I agree with it.
Yeah. So
But it's still the
here's
halakha.
I get it. I know you don't want to just state what it isn't, but rather would state what it is. So in regard to conversion, like in the Syrian communities, how they ban them, or other communities, I'm like when I look on YouTube, which is probably not a good indicator for what's happening all over in reality, but I've seen it a lot lately. There's a lot of Sephardic rabbis who are talking about like, the way that conversions are done are not correct. Kind of similar to what you've been saying. Like conversion is not supposed to be this difficult. The halakha is, that they come and they ask, and you tell them a little bit here and a little bit of the heavier ones, and then you convert them right away.
I'm pretty
But
sure there's only three Sephardi rabbis you could think of who speak like this. The Rabbi Chaim Ovadia, Rabbi
yes,
Yonatan Halevi,
yes,
and the Rabbi David Bar Chaim, if you want to consider him Sephardi.
maybe. I think I've also heard Rabbi Joshua Maruv say something similar.
Oh, right. Also, yeah, right. He actually was Rabbi Chaim Ovadia's predecessor to the Rockville Mallard Synagogue.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
I mean, are you saying that those are like the few, but the rest of them are not for
correct.
that? Okay. I mean, maybe
Like,
that's what I'm saying. I don't know, but I've heard them. And there's this other guy. He has like this organization called like Shaviti or something like that.
there's Mark Angel also.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Definitely Mark Angel. And then they had like a whole panel of like modern Orthodox rabbis that had this similar idea. But the guy who has the Shaviti organization, I forgot his name, but hold on. But anyways, I'm wondering how is it that these communities have bans on it when some of their leaders are on the forefront of saying how it should change?
Well, not Syrian Jews. I mean, Syrian Jews aren't in that conversation, and these guys aren't Syrian. I mean, a Syrian Jew is like Rabbi Josef Aour, and he's not even mainstream Syrian. I mean, he's just, you could say, genetically Syrian, but he's also for the ban. But he takes a more educated approach to halakha like we do. But he's still for the ban. Yeah, Syrian Jews aren't speaking out that I know of. I mean, here the synagogue in South Florida, the one in Mystic Point, is a synagogue called Safra. There's a big sign when you walk in that says Gentiles will not be given any honors, or converts. I'm sorry, converts will not be given any honors. And it's whatever people.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, no, the like the rabbi now speaks in the Lighthouse Project. What's his name, Rabbi Galimidi or something like that. Also, Eli Mansour. There's a lot of Syrian rabbis out there who give classes online, and I mean, no one really mentions this, and no one calls them out on this. Until now, I haven't heard anyone speak out against the Syrian ban on conversion that didn't really remain in the Syrian community. The reason conversions in Latin America are banned is because of the Syrian ban on conversion. It started in 1905 in Argentina.
Oh dang, that's a
Then
long time.
they sold the idea basically to Rav Kook, who was the rabbi of Palestine at that time before Israel became a state.
Uh-huh.
And he endorsed the idea. And then the state of Israel endorsed the idea later on in 1955, I believe, that Israel would not recognize conversions that took place anywhere in South America because of this supposed takana.
Uh-huh.
Uh, but even Rav Ovadia Yosef, he wrote a long letter because it was, I mean, supposedly a girl that he converted himself. And then she went to a community, I don't know if it was in Flatbush, wherever the Syrian community is in Brooklyn. And even with the letter of Rav Ovadia Yosef, they said, I'm sorry, this is our tradition, and, we're not budging. So,
Wow.
yeah, that's.
Wow.
But yeah, man, just go ahead and convert her, or even have her convert herself, right? There's actually a teshuvah brought down by the Rambam. I mean, just if you're thinking the Rambam is some sort of barbarian just quoting these halachot and not personally thinking differently, he writes in a teshuvah that a certain case was brought to him, that there was a man in his community who was having a sexual affair with his maid, his Gentile maid. Like, what should they do? Should they kick him out or whatever? Obviously, this is post Beit Din Agadol. And he says no. He says that she should be converted to Judaism and they should live in peace. There you go. That's your answer. In other words, conversion to Judaism is completely legal. It's a legal procedure. There's something spiritual about it. The day that you decide that you want to convert, the day that for yourself you say Nasiv and Ishma, you accept the Torah upon yourself, that is when you enter the covenant. In other words, there's many people walking around halachically Jewish who are not part of any covenant, and there are people walking around in a covenant who are not halachically Jewish. This is something that many rabbis fail to teach, mainly because they get stuck on what's called first stage thinking. And please stay away from anyone who teaches that the reason this is forbidden, i.e., cohabiting or having sex with having sex with a Gentile woman, is because of Shmirat Habrit or Shmir Sabris, right? This notion is so nonsensical and fully Kabbalistic that the spot of circumcision has some special holiness to it and it shouldn't be impurified going into a Gentile woman. And this is why it's forbidden. Friends, this is Kabbalistic nonsense that was invented post the 15th century.
But see, that's kind of one of the issues. That's kind of one of the issues really with I mean, for me, is like to even consider orthodoxy because, I mean, I don't want to not just like discount things outright and say, oh, the heck with this, whatever. Because we enjoy living a Jewish life for the most, as much as we can. But like, if I were to say like, I accept the halakha as if like it's divinely sanctioned from God, like outright, regardless of what it says. Like, like I could, if it
Oh, but I
were,
don't
if
believe
it
that.
were,
I don't believe that the halacha is sanctioned by God. Even the halacha itself makes provision for errors made by the court. In Masechet Torayot in the Talmud, and it appears in the Rambam and Mishnah Torah as Hilchot Shiragot, it speaks about the errors of the Sanhedrin.
Mhm.
That when the court makes an error in their ruling, they have to bring a certain korban. They have to bring a sacrifice. So this notion that like the halacha comes from God. No, the court is sanctioned by God, but the court are made up of men. And if for some reason, if you break a halacha, like try to do it right next time. But in terms of like, deep hurt, like you let God down, so we shouldn't have that attitude for rabbinic laws. Right.
Right.
However, if you deny Torah Shabbal Peh, then you're over on a Torah command because God commands us to listen to this court. Like if you deny that exists, then you're breaking a Torah command, and then like you should feel bad and repent towards God. But only because you happen to break halacha or not agree with the halacha. There's many instances in the Talmud where that one sage would tell another sage, even though you believe in a certain way, you still have to do it this way because the court ruled like this. In other words, the court can't tell you what to believe, but they can only tell you how to behave. You can disagree with the court and still feel bound to obey them, even though at that moment you think they're idiots and they're wrong, but you realize God gave them this authority through Moses. And one thing that's a halakha today could not be a halakha tomorrow. Now, clearly there's no Sanhedrin nowadays, but if there was a Sanhedrin, only because there's a law today, that law could be changed tomorrow. Torah laws can't be changed, but rabbinic laws could be changed. This is why not having a court hurts us. This is why in Judaism we have this whole notion of agunot, of women who can't get divorces, because there aren't enough loopholes in there to, free them from jerky men. But
Yeah.